Live.
Top of the morning, everybody. Welcome to Cowboys, Trailers, and Ranches. I'm Jimbo. Today, this gentleman right here is my special guest and co-host, Mr. Todd Fox.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. We are in Marble Falls today, guys. Marble Falls, Texas. And we are in the Mark Fox Real Estate Investment Office. And not doing any deals yet, but who knows by the end of the day.
Yeah, let's go.
We both like selling. So anyway, today's going to be fun, guys. We're going to go back old school a little bit. This gentleman, Mr. Todd Fox, is an ex-PRCA steer wrestler from back in the day, and he's going to tell some stories. Most of them could be true. So it's gonna be fun. So we're gonna get a little rodeo lesson today, and he's gonna tell you all about back in the day, and he's gonna tell you about what he's got going on here coming up. So first of all, sponsors, as always, want to thank Rodeo Rigs out of Montana, Ranch, Texas, always in the house representing. Laredo Conversions out of Fort Worth. Appreciate y'all. Him Western Wear, Mr. J Potts. Thank you, sir. The Cowboy Roundup out of Shawnee, Wyoming. Miss Patty Franklin. Always thank you for what you're doing for that cause. And we'll probably touch a little bit on that today with what Todd's got going on. So always appreciate our sponsors. And as always, the Beaver Box, our hat boxes, contact Cowboy Hattery, Miss Shorty at Oklahoma City for that. So appreciate all of our sponsors. This is you guys keep us going. You guys keep us going every week. So this is number 14, by the way, which is pretty amazing. 14 episodes so far, and I am absolutely tickled. Love doing this, guys. So appreciate you. For everybody that is reaching out to us every week for apparel, we've got some cool stuff coming. I just agreed yesterday. We're going to partner up with Black Hills Embroidery out of Rapid City and be looking for our online store. We'll get some more details to you guys here in the next week or two. Pay attention on social media. We'll be putting it out there for an online store and how to go about getting apparel. I know, and I appreciate you guys reaching out to us on that. So, with that, Mr. Fox, tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
So I was a rodeo cowboy and went to the national finals 10 times from 1986 to 1995, and was fortunate enough to have a pretty good career. And in 1995, and I got my real estate license in '84. My dad made me have my real estate license before I took off to go rodeo, and man, that was a blessing. I did a little bit of stuff throughout my career. I didn't focus on anything, but I did. In 1994, I sold a 2,200 acre ranch in Slidell, Texas.
Oh, Slidell.
Yeah, we did the inventory. We counted because they bought the cows and the hay and everything on the ranch, and we inventoried the ranch. The morning we were doing the inventory on the ranch, I was on the square in Decatur, Texas, on my way to go to the ranch, and that's the morning that Timothy McVeigh bombed the Oklahoma City building.
Holy cow! That's history.
The FBI building in Oklahoma City. Yeah, so that was and man, that. But the thing about that sale was, golly, that sale changed everything. Like I got passionate about rodeo, and in 1995, I really wanted to be in the real estate business. I really didn't even want a rodeo, but
you was done.
I mentally I was done. It was, and it was the first year that I didn't have a good winter. The winter rodeos were always incredible to me. I won Denver. I won Fort Worth 3 times. I won San Antonio twice. I always had big winners. And in 95, I just wasn't I wasn't in the game, and I didn't win squat at the buildings. And I had resigned. I wasn't going to rodeo. At Bandera that year in the spring, I told everybody I'm done. That was it. Well, Sid Steiner was a rookie that year. That was his very first year.
Holy cow! Now you're going back.
And Sid and Sid and Alfalfa just kept entering me. I didn't even, and I would go about half the time when they would enter me. I would show up about half the time. I wouldn't show up. I only went to, in 95, I only went to 9 rodeos the whole month of July, which, hell, normally we'd have gone to 9 rodeos over the 4th of July.
Right on.
And when we got to Cheyenne that year, I had sort of said that, well, if I have a big Cheyenne, maybe I'll go to the finals and go to my 10th NFR. Well, I didn't. I made the short round at Cheyenne and won something. I don't remember what I won, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to motivate me to go on.
How many years? So how many years did you go to NFL?
10.
10 years.
So 10 straight.
Wow.
So I go to the payphone right after the short round's over. I go to the payphone right behind the grandstands, and I call home, and I talk to my little girls at the time. They were 8 and 9 years old, and I told them I was coming home and I was done. We weren't going. They'd never not been to the finals their whole life. They didn't know anything but going to the finals. Man, they were playing ball and playing soccer, and I was pretty overzealous about children's athletics.
Right on.
And they both started having a fit, calling me a quitter and blah blah blah. I told my youngest daughter at the time, Farron, I said, well, I'll tell you what, if we're gonna do this, you're going with me. So Clint Dimmitt Slick, he and I load up and we go to Marble Falls, and I wasn't entered anywhere. I was entered at Dodge City, was the only thing I was entered at the next week. So we go to Dodge City, and then I entered up after that. Man, I got hot in August, and I won everything we went to. I mean, I killed them the week of Colorado Springs, Sydney Sykes in Colorado Springs. I won like 10,000 that week. And by the time the standings came out, the next time the standings came out, I was in the top 10, and I won everything. All right. And so
this man's a legend.
That took me to my 10th NFR. But as things happened, I tore my knee up, and that was a blessing because I never entered another rodeo after the NFR 95. I've never entered another rodeo.
95 was your last?
The NFR 95 was the last rodeo I ever entered. I never entered another one.
Wow. You was done.
I was done.
Checked out.
Yeah, and then my real estate career started. And golly, it's really been good. I've got that little girl, that youngest girl, Farron. She's now my business partner. My dad's retired. My dad retired 7 or 8 years ago, and Farron became my partner. And my oldest daughter is Megan, and she and her husband are attorneys, and their office is right behind ours.
So it's family business.
And well, Megan is in our business. She's an agent in our office also. And my youngest daughter is Macy, and she just graduated from the University of Texas.
Good stuff.
She's my partner on our U.S. Junior Steer Wrestling. She helped me start that. We're really fired up about that.
That's awesome, dude. So I know a lot of people. You said Sid Steiner. I know a lot of people watching are familiar with the Steiners, and the newest of the bunch is Rocker. So tell us a little bit about going down the road with Sid.
So Sid and I really didn't go. We really did not travel that much together. I mean, Sid and I we're together all the time, and we've been together all the time ever since. All right. But we really never did rodeo that much together. I mean, because I didn't rodeo much that year, except I really didn't rodeo at all that year until after Cheyenne. And so he and I we really never have rodeo together very much. But
Okay.
but we've been together. We do real estate deals together. We're very best of friends.
Right on.
I mean, my rodeo partners were Byron Walker when I got
you
first.
traveled with Byron then?
Yes, when
Right
I got
on.
started, I was with my rookie year. I was with Roy Duval. One of the greatest experiences I've had in my whole life.
Wow.
Was to be with Roy, and then I got with Byron in '86. I got my card and I filled my permit at Vernon, and got my card maybe the 1st of June in 1985. I wanted to get eligible for the Pro Tour that was going to happen in '86.
'86, yep.
I didn't get drafted, and I was with Roy that year, and then in '86 I got with Byron. I started with Byron the 4th of July, and rodeo with Byron all of that year, made the finals, and man, Byron taught me how to rodeo. Byron taught me how to enter. Byron taught me how to rodeo. You know,
So you learned a lot between Roy and Byron.
and there was a lot of stuff I learned that was unnecessary.
Yep.
More of that from Byron than Roy.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
It's a big part.
Some of that
big
you
part
can
of it.
use, and some of that you can't.
But it's the memories, right?
Oh God, we had a blast, man.
It is the freaking memories.
We had a blast. I mean, one thing about rodeo with Byron, we ate at the very best places. We stayed in good places, and the thing is, nobody in today's game, there's nobody knows how to enter better than Byron. Byron understands the rule book, and Byron understands strategy of where you go and how you go, and the way it works. Byron understands that better than anyone, and he always has.
Right on. Right. Well, you traveled with some legends. I mean,
Oh yeah, we had a great time.
Wow,
we had a great time,
and that was back when. I remember, because that was my vintage. That's when steer wrestling was a freaking man's game. I mean, seriously. I mean, that was one of the most predominant sports there was.
Yeah, no, and it was great, and there was a great group of guys. Dan Cormier was also with me for the majority of my career. Man, I was with Dan and I. God, we were like brothers. We were together. Hell, we lived together more than we lived with our wives at that time. All right. And I cannot leave out Slick. I cannot leave out Clint. Clint was with me. Clint drove for me. Clint's still with me. I still talk to Clint every Sunday, and
awesome.
And we're still in constant contact.
That's so cool. That's good stuff. So hey, when you were growing up, everybody's got their heroes. Everybody's got their idols. Who was kind of your idol growing up?
Well, so I would have to say that my dad, first and foremost. My dad is 100% of the reason that I am the man that I am. You know, good or bad.
Yeah.
All right. It's
There's probably both. There's both.
One thing you learn about fatherhood, 37 years of fatherhood, the one thing I've learned is everything that your children do wrong is your fault, and everything they do right is in spite of you.
That's right.
Right.
And there's no playbook.
And there is no playbook.
No playbook.
There is no playbook whatsoever. All right, but and golly, I've just got a whole bunch. There's just Roy Duval and Byron and then when I got out of the rodeo business, I got in the real estate business, and I was so blessed and so fortunate to hook up with Doug Barkley. Doug. I met Doug, and my dad did stuff together when I was in high school, and I would see Doug. And when I got hurt at the NFR, I had my knee surgery on January the 5th of 96. I was sitting in my office when we were up closer to 1431. I was sitting in the office, and I had my leg propped up on my desk, and the water cooler and the water circulating around your knee 3 or 4 days after the surgery. And Doug calls my office, and he said, "Hey man," he said, I flew home on the airplane on the same flight your sister was on, and she said you're going to get in the real estate business." And I said, "Yeah, no, I'm in the real estate business." He said, "Well, meet me in Stonewall." So I couldn't even drive. My dad drives me to Stonewall. I had to sit in the back seat and put my leg through the console of the front seat, and we went over and met Doug and talked to Doug, and gosh, Doug took me to we went to Fort Lauderdale. One of the first trips he took me on was, he said, "You need to see what people that have money, what they want. I've got to teach you what they're looking for." So we went down to Fort Lauderdale to the boat show, man, and
oh, that's an eye opener, dude.
so like I thought of boats. I grew up on Lake Marble Falls and Lake LBJ, and in those days we had fishing boats. A ski boat, a ski nautique, or a master craft was the most amazing thing in the whole world. And we get down there, and
that was big pimping then.
There were seven of the 100 largest yachts in the world for sale down there. Right on. And it was just an absolute eye-opening experience. All right, and man, Doug and I have done some really cool deals since. All right.
So you've enjoyed since you called it quits bulldogging. You've enjoyed real estate a bunch. I mean, it's been your focal point.
God, I love it. I absolutely love every.
That's cool to know.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I've really never been to work a day in my life. I get up every morning, and I'm
that's the way to live,
I'm
baby.
fired up, ready to go every day with my boots hit the floor. Awesome. My wife still laughs at me. All right,
like a little kid in the candy.
Yeah, no, and hopefully I'll never do grow up. I never want to retire. I hope I never have to retire. I'm going to fight it as long as I can.
Key to life.
I don't want to retire. Yeah, I like what I do, man.
That's awesome.
I really like what I do. I get to have impact on people's lives. We get to change their lives.
That's right.
Yeah, when they buy and when they sell, it's the coolest thing ever.
It is. I agree. So going back, what was your most memorable rodeo? I know you got. I've got
several. I've got several.
Everybody's got that one. They're like
so of my 10 trips to the NFR, I never had but one time that it was close. And well, in '86, the first year I made the finals. I was 8th when the Cow Palace was over. The
Cow Palace.
When the Cow Palace was over, I was 8th in the world. But they still had 2 Pro Tour rodeos left. We were at home. We were done. And the Pro Tour still had 2 left. So that was anxiety. There was nothing I could do about that. I went from 8th to 12th sitting at home after the season was over. All right. That's still a resentment. I got moved to the back row. I had to sit on the bucking chutes that year, and I was at home. All right, I was at home when they moved me, but the cool thing about that, there was only 4 of us that made the finals that year that wasn't in the Pro Tour, and that was Oak, Roy Duval, Tom Ferguson, and myself.
Jeez.
That's
some company.
That's pretty cool company to be in. Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't know old school bulldoggers like our vintage, I'm telling you, go look it up, because those 4 names that he just
named, they're all in the Hall of Fame, and all of them arguably are greatest cowboy.
Absolutely,
the greatest. All right,
they are.
Yeah, there's no question.
Stamp.
Oak, in my opinion, in just my opinion, Oak's the best. He's the best athlete that I ever watched in the arena.
I'm second that.
He's the best athlete I ever watched in the arena. And I didn't get to see Roy Duval at his, when I first came around in 1984, Roy was still the hoss, all right? And he was a beast of a man. And he was 41, 2 years old then, and he was still
flipping them.
Yeah, but he was a physical specimen. but I didn't, I didn't get to see him when he was 30 years old.
Right.
Let me tell you, when Oak was at his best, Oak could hit with his feet on the wrong side of the steer and just jerk him up through himself, and bam, he could physically do things that we couldn't do, that nobody else could do.
Right.
All right.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you just said he kept the best company. So that says a lot about this man and how good he was, because you had to be to run with that crowd.
You know what? That was cool. But back to my most memorable rodeo. All right. And I have two of them, but one of them, the most memorable, would have been in 1989. It was the only time I was ever in a real storm to make the finals. And I had two rodeos left. There was a 100 rodeo rule at that time, and I had two left. And we were at Billings. I had the Billings and the Cow Palace left.
Wow.
So we get to Billings, and like Dan was 13th, or Dan was maybe 14th, and Ricky Huddleston was 15th, or Ricky was 13th, Dan was 14th. I don't really remember how it was all stacked up, but Lee Laskowski and I were 16th and 17th. I do remember that. And we get up there. Rod Lyman, God bless you, I'll never forget this.
Wow.
Rod Lyman let me ride his horse that night. I had never ridden his horse before, and I had it set up that I was going to get riding before we got there. Dan rode him, and I think Lee rode him too. But we get to Billings that night, and we're sitting at the hotel. Dan and I are in our hotel room watching the World Series, the Oakland A's and the New York Giants, or the San Francisco Giants, our first game of the World Series. We're sitting there watching, and the earthquake hits.
Oh,
and I'm talking about
game.
all of San Francisco is, the bridges are down, the streets are busted up, everything's tore up, and we're sitting there going, "Oh my God!" If all this is tore up in San Francisco, that old concrete building at the Cow Palace is gone. There's no way in hell that it's going to stand through this. So
I wondered how that thing was standing for a long time anyway.
Yeah, so we were like, hell, there's no chance that this is going to be it tonight. So Dan's like either 13th or 14th, something like that. Dan goes, "I hope that sucker's on the ground. I hope this is the end of it." And I'm like, "You dirty bastard. That's not what we want. We want
no more pals."
Yeah, don't do that. Don't say that. I want it to be there. So we go out to Billings. When we go out to the rodeo, the Nile Rodeo, I've got a steer nobody's caught since Pueblo. They haven't had a time on him since Labor Day, and this is the end of October, and they hadn't had a time on him. They didn't catch him at Minot. They didn't catch wherever else they've been. They've been no time on him everywhere. Well, and I don't remember if I won the first round or I won the second round. But Lee Laskowski either wins. We win first and second. Lee and I won first and second in both go rounds. And I don't remember which go round who won it. Lee won the average and I won second the average. So when we leave the building that night, Dan now is 16th, and Lee and I are 13th and 14th, and Ricky's 15th. All right. Dan's staying up all night watching CNN. I got my first night's sleep in a month. That's the first night I'd slept in a month. Man, I laid down. I hate to tell you, not only had that happened, but I had my house financed with Burnett Savings and Loan. And if you remember what happened in the late 80s, I had my note set up where I paid, because it was given that I was going to make the national finals every year for the rest of my life. I bought that house.
Yeah, that's how that works.
I bought that house in 1985. Hell, I was just going to. So I had my house set up with one annual payment a year after the finals, and I'll pay 10% of my note and the interest. So that was an easy deal, right?
On.
But the savings and loan went bankrupt.
Yep.
They closed it. My note was illegal. They called my note. Right after the finals, I was either going to have to refinance my house, pay it off, or lose my house.
Or lose it.
Let me tell you, I'm in a jam. I have to do that. So I got to sleep that night. Well, we go to the Cow Palace. Dan wins something at the Cow Palace. He makes the finals. Ricky went from 15th to 16th. So me, Dan, and Lee all made the finals. That was pretty memorable.
Wow.
That was a pretty memorable moment.
Wow. And you bring up that Cow Palace. That was that was still, I mean, I know the facility was old and kind of.
Oh, it was a fabulous rodeo.
Still.
Oh, it was such a great rodeo.
One of my favorites. When it went away, I'm like,
and it was such, and the cool thing about the Cow Palace, the short round at the Cow Palace was everybody's life was on the line. The short round at the Cow Palace was one of the greatest performances in all of rodeo because of all the drama. I mean, all these guys, you're going to make the finals. You're not going to make the finals.
Right down
this guy's got to win this in the go round. Blah, blah, blah. No, it was one of the best performances of the entire year. I absolutely, and it was the only time of the year that I was a tourist. I used to love the Cow Palace.
I used to go just to go.
Yeah, no,
I loved it.
I saw Cotton Rosser one day, one year, and I thought Cotton Rosser was an old man, right? He was probably 50 years old, but I thought he was ancient. So we're at the Cow Palace, and they got after him with the hot shots, and they were going to arrest Cotton. And if you ever been there, they had wood panels to load the stock in the back. So they were going to arrest Cotton, and Cotton's telling them it doesn't hurt those calves to hot shot them. And that lady with the Humane Society, she said, "Well, let me hot shot you." So
I can't wait for Cotton's reaction on that one.
They hot shot Cotton, grabbed the fence. They hot shot him, and he said, "See, I told you that didn't hurt." And that lady said, "Well, you got them big old heavy blue jeans on." He drops his pants. That lady burns his leg up, and let me tell you, he just gritted his teeth. He said it didn't hurt a bit.
I ain't heard that story. That's
man, and I thought that's the toughest guy I ever saw in my life. And I thought he was an ancient at the time. Isn't that something? How
man, that just kind of tingles me. Just
yeah, no,
it
was pretty cool.
I've been hit by that. I'm not a big fan of electricity, but anyway. Hey, so tell us about I know you got some really cool stuff happening, exciting, the youth stuff going on.
So we're having the U.S. Junior Steer Wrestling. This is our third year to have this U.S. Junior Steer Wrestling. The first year we had it in Wimberley, and we're having the Leon Barley Cowboy reunion, and Leon was also extremely important. All during my rodeo career, Leon actually hazed for me in the first match I ever had against Tommy Gailey down at Jason Cooper's, right on the banks of Barton Creek. All right, and anytime I needed Leon throughout my career to go haze for me, to do whatever, Leon would go with me, and he would haze for me. When I quit rodeoing, he gave me the listing on his ranch, which is now the Bowerly. In Lawson, they call it the Bowerly Ranch. It's a big subdivision, 495 acres on Slaughter Creek, and I got his sister Jimmy and Joyce's ranch. It was right behind them, and I ended up selling the Picard place and John Tabor's place. That listing Leon gave me got me started in the real estate business.
Huh.
So we're and Leon didn't want to have how this steer wrestling got started was Leon did not want to have a funeral. Told his wife Cindy that no funeral. So Byron and Cindy were talking one day, and Cindy told him no funeral, and Byron said, "Well, let's have a steer wrestling. Let's have a junior steer wrestling." So we didn't have a funeral, but this is going to be our third steer wrestling in his honor. All right. And cowboy reunion.
Oh God.
Yeah. So be careful. You got to be more.
Shit
you have to be more specific whenever you make demands. All right.
Let's have a bulldog instead.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So this junior steer wrestling, the man, we're having a 3-head super series qualifier, whatever you want to call it. It's 3 go rounds, we take the top 4 money winners out of the 3 go-arounds, and then they come back into this year. We're having a rodeo performance this year. We're going to be live on the Cowboy Channel. Last year it was
way cool, man.
Last year it was on the app, and it was tape delayed because we edited it and created a program. I didn't know how to do. We didn't know how to do what we're going to do this year. This year we're actually having a live rodeo performance. We're gonna have a big mutton busting.
Awesome.
I'm letting everybody come.
Awesome.
We're bringing 40 sheep.
That's going to bring in a lot more.
We're gonna have 80. We're gonna have 80 mutton busters.
Dang! Holy crap!
I mean, we don't know if we'll get that many, but we're gonna allow up to 80 mutton busters. We're gonna have a goat roping. We're gonna have a goat roping. All right, and we're gonna take the top 4 money winners in the steer wrestling. We're going to bring the top 10 out of the mutton busting, and we're going to take the top 10 out of the goat roping into a performance. All right.
Okay.
And we're it's going to be live on the Cowboy Channel. Justin McKee is going to come be our announcer for the performance. Rope Myers is going to do our color.
Right on.
And Amy Wilson is going to do our interviews. In the morning in the qualifier, Amy's going to be our announcer, and Rope is going to do our color. And the theory behind that is Rope is going to try to teach Amy how to steer wrestle. All right. And technically how the steer wrestling works. I mean, because think about this. When did the NFL become popular? When the NFL really became popular is when John Madden taught the mothers and the daughters and the sisters and the girlfriends how football worked, how to watch football. All right. So the whole idea behind this qualifier that morning, that will be live on the app. Be sure and buy your app so you can watch it.
Right on.
All right. So the idea behind that is rather than our mothers and our wives and our sisters and our girlfriends tolerating the steer wrestling,
or just not tolerating and staying at home,
maybe they'll learn to actually enjoy it. All right. But and our matches,
I like that analogy. That's good.
So when the 4 guys come back into the performance, when the 4 guys come back into the performance, those are going to be they're going to be 4-head matches, but they're going to be different than any 4-head matches I've seen. So they're going to all be in. I'm not a huge fan of tournament rodeo, but tournament rodeo is where we are. Learning the idea behind match play steer wrestling was the first guy that made a mistake. He was beat, and it taught you and prepared you for being in the short rounds. When the short rounds blew apart, all you had to do was go be 5 flat, make a good run, and win first. All right, that era is over in rodeo. Whether I don't like it, but they've eliminated it. All right.
Right.
So what we're doing here is it's going to be a 4-head matches. They're going to be 4 1-headers. Everybody will run 2, just like in a normal match, and then you're going to trade steers, and you're going to run the same 2 that the first guy run. The difference is it's going to be like match playing golf. It's 1 down, 2 down, 3 down match, and if it's tied, because even if you have the best 2 steers in the first round, the other guy's going to have the best 2 steers in the next round. Right. He's got an opportunity to at least tie. All right. And if they tie, then the 5th steer will truly be a shootout.
It'll be a throwdown. Yeah.
It'll be a shootout. We're going to have 2 steers in the back as equally matched as we can. And it's just going to be a 1-header on those 2 steers to see who advances.
Cool concept, man. That's cool concept.
All right.
I like that.
So we've also got the Texas Pink Jamboree, which is going to be a part of this deal. And we've got music starting at noon. I anticipate that our qualifier is going to start at 10 o'clock in the morning. We should be through by noon. We've got music starting at noon. And then at 3:45, Gary P. Nunn comes on, boom, right before our performance. And then we're going to have our performance after the final match is over. Also, we have Tomas Gassiano coming on, who's 4 times Contract Act Personnel of the Year.
Yep.
greatest charo in the business. He's going to come on and he's going to perform for us. So it's going to be a complete performance. Jesse Robb Jr., who co-writes with Cody Johnson and opens for Cody Johnson at
got some hitters.
all of his big shows. Cody is our headliner after the rodeo. No, Jesse is. Jesse Robb Jr. is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember a whole lot about rodeo, but the rodeo dance I still know how to do. I'm not near as good a hand at it. I'm not near as good a hand at it as a
That's the
horse,
memories that come out.
but I know the rodeo dance. All right.
So hey, that's October
the 8th.
Right.
It's the
October
day before Columbus Day, and it's going to be in Granite Shoals, Texas, at Quarry Park.
Granite Shoals. I've talked about that for y'all. And that's a cool little spot.
Yeah, no, and you can come get your RBVO, however you say it, VRBO. Yeah, VRBO on Lake LBJ, or where we got hotels in Marble Falls.
It's a great area, guys.
It's gonna be. I mean, it's a good spot. It's gonna be a great time, man. I'm so excited about it. Check us out.
Passion.
Yeah, check us out on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. It's at usjuniorsw.com, at usjuniorsteerwrestling.com.
So it's also 17, 18, and 19-year-olds.
Yeah, they have to be 18. They have to be 18 when on January the 1st.
Okay.
It's an Oatberry, and it is an Oatberry qualifier to go to national finals to win his junior world championship. And man, Oat, that's something. Oat has done an immaculate job. Without Oat, none of this would have been possible. Oat just did. He's done unbelievable. I mean, and the quality of these kids. I mean, you touched on something, bragging about my generation of steer wrestlers.
Yep.
And of course, I'm biased and partial, just like everybody else. But the thing is, the event has changed. The cattle have changed.
Yep.
The availability of fresh steers is not the way it was when we rodeoed. It is disappointing that they don't run fresh steers anymore. That they've done what they've done to Cheyenne is sickening. All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of
them. But there's reasonings for that. All right, and a lot of that is because the cattle aren't available. But I watched the girls breakaway roping at Clovis, California, and at Salinas, and at Cheyenne, and I guys, I'm picking on y'all, but it's just a shame that the girls have got the most cowboy event at those rodeos. All right, but the thing is, the depth of the steer wrestling today is much, much deeper than it was any other time in history. All right. Even though the event's different, it is different. All right. These guys are incredible athletes. They are athletes. They bulldog so good. It's unbelievable. You come watch these boys that are 17, 18, 19 years old. That wasn't going on in our era. True. I mean, I never bulldogged. I never even ran a steer till I got to college, my freshman year in college. That's Sid calling right now. But
he's listening.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But and he'll disagree with me on all this.
Of course.
And Byron's gonna have a fit. If Byron we know is not watching, or my phone would be blowing up.
Oh, that's awesome.
But anyway, these guys are incredible. I mean, you watch Tyler Wagenspack, and I'm not leaving. I don't want to leave anybody out. Will Loomis, Tiny. I mean, those guys are Ty Erickson. I mean, those guys are all unbelievable. Stetson Jordanson. I mean, all those boys are. I mean, they win.
They're athletes.
Yeah, they win in any generation.
That's right.
There's not a generation they wouldn't have won in. If it's not the same contest, and if the contests were the same, they'd still be the champions, and they'd still be the winners. I mean, the guys are unbelievable.
Yeah, and they're in incredible shape. I mean,
It's
they're
amazing.
They're finely tuned athletes now.
Oh, they're amazing.
Back in the day, guess what? They were just,
we were in awful good shape
no,
too. I'm not
no, they were, but
we were in great shape too. All right, but it's just a different deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, anyway, we could pick apart all of us. You know, the one thing that I do have to say, the difference between their generation and our generation, they're on TV every night.
Yeah.
We weren't on TV very often. And when I talk to everybody in my generation, they forget that they didn't always make good runs either. Right? We hadn't made a bad run in a really long time. And hadn't had a cold streak in a really long time. All right. And it's not documented like these guys are documented.
It's changed. It has.
So
changed.
back to U.S. Junior steer wrestling. All right, young guys that are interested in steer wrestling that are too young to be at this event. Rope holds the average is the record for the average at the NFR, 37.2 seconds. He was 3.7 seconds, averaged 3.7 seconds a steer on 10 head. All right. And Rope's dad, Butch won the average twice. He held the record at whatever it was. He was 52 years old. He beat us. He won the average. I was there. I was one of the ones that he beat. He beat us when he's 52 years old. And Butch is not in the Hall of Fame, and that's absolutely criminal.
Yeah. They
ought to close the Hall of Fame down until he gets put in the Hall of Fame. He belongs there. He's had as big an impact on the steer wrestling event as anybody has. I would say that no one's had a bigger impact as far as teaching people how to steer wrestle, for the tools that they use, the steer saver, all that stuff. Butch was incredible. He's world's champion. Butch Myers needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right on. Agreed. So I got one thing for you.
All
right. I ask everybody now, it's been kind of our go-to question. So if you were to pick one thing in our industry, in our Western industry, that you would change to keep it Western, what would it be?
It's very simple what I would do. All right.
Throw it.
So the number one thing that needs to happen is the NFR needs to be open for bids to the whole world. All right. And the same people have had the same tickets at the national finals since I went in 1986. In 2020, they couldn't have the finals in Vegas. They moved it to Arlington. They sold it out in minutes. It was open minutes, 3 different days, and it sold out in minutes. All right. I know more people that went and saw the NFR for the first time in their life in Arlington than ever in my life. All right. There was the tickets. I don't know if anybody's tried to buy tickets on the secondary market. Tickets at the NFR now are $700-800 a piece on the secondary market to get good tickets. I mean, we need to be in a 40,000 seat arena. And the thing is, to grow the sport, I mean, anyway, I can go on and on and on about this. I mean, the state of Nevada's got 2 companies in the Fortune 500 companies. Texas is number 1 with 53. Houston's got 22 all by itself. I mean, if you move Las Vegas to the Dallas Metroplex, it'd be the 6th largest city in the Metroplex. The buying power for Las Vegas or Nevada is nothing compared to Texas. And don't forget about Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona. There's all kind of places that would do that. And why they don't open that up for bids, I have no idea. They don't have. I'm not aware of a Fortune 500 company that the PRCA has as a national sponsor. Maybe the MGM. They're not a national sponsor, but they do sponsor something at the NFR, a little something. You also get charged to go into their casinos, to go into their bars and watch the rodeo. And the Cowboys are getting paid what? They're getting paid ticket sales. You've got millions of square feet of Cowboy Christmas all over Las Vegas. Cowboys aren't getting paid for that. They if Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, if any of those people were having that convention, you could bet they would be getting paid a percentage of the gross receipts that was happening all over Las Vegas. I actually bought furniture myself. I bought furniture from a guy that was a vendor in Las Vegas, and when we went to his showroom about getting after the rodeo was over, we were in there and we were talking about, and I'm walking over there looking, and the guy says out loud, he goes, "Well, the dumbest thing they could ever do was would be to move the rodeo out of Las Vegas." And my wife was like,
Heard that.
My wife said, "My God, I wanted to buy some of your furniture." She said you couldn't have brought up a worse.
Yeah. Right.
A worse.
And you know what? We can go on and on.
No, but the thing is, the thing is that should grow. That would grow. There's nothing in the world would grow the sport of rodeo more than to allow
to move it.
I mean, there's a reason that the NBA moves around. There's a reason that the NCAA moves around. The Super Bowl, everybody moves around. All the with the exception of the Masters, all the majors in golf, and including the British
venues.
Open, they all move around because of that. It's to grow the sport. All right. I mean, they need to open that thing up, bring new sponsors in, bring new blood in, bring new interest in. I mean, the rural America is the most underserved community in the United States. I mean, technologically, and man, I'm in the group. We're all behind. All right. Thank God I've got children that are smarter than me. All right. Or I'd be done.
Yeah. So that was a good point. And that's a conversation we can talk about for days, for hours, because I think everybody's got their own opinion on it. And just to take a second, go back when it went to Fort Worth for a brief minute. I mean, there was a lot of people that loved it, a lot of people that didn't. But what it did bring is something new, right? Something new other than Las Vegas, Nevada.
So what didn't they like? The number one thing the number one complaint is that it was the energy. Well, because of COVID, they could only sell whatever. Still, it's the largest crowd that ever saw the NFR.
Yeah,
and the most money that pro
Cowboys
rodeo.
love the arena. Cowboys love the arena.
Most money pro rodeos ever made off the national finals. All right, and they didn't have any time to get set up for it, so they didn't have an opportunity because of COVID. They couldn't set up the Cowboy Christmases and all that stuff. Excuse me. They didn't have time to prepare and get ready for it.
They did.
All right. Let me tell you, you give Phoenix 2 years to get ready for it. You give Atlanta 2 years to get ready for it. You give Dallas 2 years to get used. Yeah. You give Houston 2 years to get ready for it. San Antonio. Let me tell you something. You would have, if they can handle the Super Bowls,
true,
they can handle the national.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
They can handle the NFR.
Good point.
They can handle World Series, Super Bowls, all that. Anyway.
Yeah. Once again,
my soapbox.
We can talk about this for days, and you know what? I want to appreciate this guy so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
He's been a treat. He has been, and I'm going to tell you, he's going back to old school bulldogging, which I near and dear to my heart. So remember October 8th, come out and check his bulldogging out. It's a great cause, and I think it's going to be a great event. So
yeah, and be sure and buy the Cowboy Channel app so you can watch that qualifier. The qualifier, Super Series, whatever you want to call it, is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see Amy Wilson as our announcer. We need to have women be the announcers. It's time for that. Long overdue. They need to be the primary announcers. All right.
They do a hell of a job.
They do a great job. Amy, I mean, that
hats off.
Katie and Amy and Janie, they do a great job. All right. And they need to be front and center doing the rodeos themselves.
Right on. Once again, appreciate you, man. Be looking for this guy keep his name on your hat, Todd Fox. And October 8th, remember that. We're gonna sign off. We're gonna call it a day. So let her buck, keep it Western.